Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. We're here today to discuss a few Halloween Horror Nights updates and then the full reveals for Howl-o-Scream Orlando and Howl-o-Scream Tampa. So in last week's video, we covered the full reveal for Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, so if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. But we received the entire lineup of houses, scare zones, and shows for Halloween Horror Nights Orlando. There's not much to discuss for Halloween Horror Nights this week, however, there's been a few updates around the park that I wanted to discuss before we jump into Howl-o-Scream news. Hey guys, Liz from the future here, popping in. I filmed this video yesterday, and then last night I had the idea that we should do a Q&A next week. So next week is opening weekend, which means my vlog will go up a couple days before that. So send me your questions. Questions about this year, questions about the past, questions about Carrie or Legendary Truth. Leave them down below. Let's have a chat next week. Now back to the video. So the biggest item that we haven't seen any news for yet, however, we've seen pop up around the park are the new themed food booths all over the park. Instead of just making them generic Halloween or just generic food stands this year, we have food booths themed after some of the houses that we're going to see at the event this year, including Haunting of Hill House, Beetlejuice, Wicked Growth, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and others. This is something completely new. I've never seen them do this before in the past. We've had food stands. They did Stranger Things themed food a few years ago, but these are actually decorated to match their houses, and so far we know one menu, and that's from the Wicked Growth themed tent, and even the food is themed. For me, this is a very welcome addition because if you go to Halloween Horror Nights a lot, you end up eating at the same restaurants over and over. So having additional food options is a big plus in my book, and the food sounds really good so far. The first menu that was posted for the Wicked Growth stand has Field of Screams gyoza, pumpkin guts, a pumpkin dulce de leche churro, and a drink called bog slime. All three of the food items sound absolutely delicious. I'm all for some pumpkin churros. The Field of Screams gyoza sounds delicious. There's butternut squash in those, and then the pumpkin guts is actually a vegetarian option. Sound very creative, and definitely more creative than what we're used to seeing at Horror Nights. So Horror Nights, typically if it's a food stand, you're thinking carnival foods like funnel cakes, fried Oreos, twisted taters, pizza fries, not really anything healthy. But this pumpkin guts one is actually a vegetarian item that sounds pretty healthy and sounds delicious. I am very excited to see the menus for the other stands, to see what exciting new items we're going to get, and I am very happy that Universal is kind of going down this Epcot food festival path. They started this with Mardi Gras and they had their little food festival over the summer, and now we're getting a Horror Nights food festival, and I am thrilled for it because I'm all for having some other food options. We'll see how long the lines are. Sometimes the lines for food at Horror Nights can be pretty crazy. I went in May and tried the summer foods, and the lines for those booths were very short. Fingers crossed. I am excited to have a food option that's not Krusty Burger or pizza or Monsters Cafe. I'm all for it. Moving over to scare zones. In last week's video, I said there was a stage in the Hollywood area that I was confused by, and I wasn't sure what that stage was going to be. This conversation continued over on Twitter. I saw a lot of bewildered fans trying to figure out what it is, and I think the best theory I've seen posted is that that stage is in honor of 2012's event where the entire park had roaming scare zones. So there were no set scare zones. There were 6 roaming legions of horror that tied in with the Legendary Truth sort of event that was that year. Each roaming horde moved throughout the park throughout the night, so there was no specific sets that matched them. So instead, we just had a cemetery scene kind of throughout the park, and there were characters called the Iniquitous that were the common thread throughout the park. The prevailing theory that I've seen that I feel most supportive of is that this will be the return of possibly the Iniquitous and possibly the Legions of Horror characters that we saw in the park that year. So I don't know if we're going to get to see all of the 6 legions. Fingers crossed the traditionals return, because the traditionals were the Morphins, so Team Traditional. But at the very least, I hope we see the Iniquitous back because their character design was beautiful. They're stilt walkers, and I've heard that we got a lot of stilts in the zones this year. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some Iniquitous hanging out near that stage. Speaking of the Hollywood scare zone, since my lovely invasion aliens are seemingly making a return, I do want to just show off a little bit of my own merch for a second. So I do have these shirts in my shop, linked down below. This is specifically a little note to my favorite scare zone, Invasion. Really fits with this year. Don't be a space invader at Horror Nights. Keep your social distance away from me. Don't be a space invader. I'm definitely gonna be wearing this out in the parks, repping my invasion scare zone, and also trying to give people a message to stay 6 feet away from me. Can't be too safe in the crowds, so this design is available on my shop as a little bit of shameless self-promotion, but also I can't wait to wear it this year because it's really perfect. The other news we got for Halloween Horror Nights is that the Tribute Store is opening as of tomorrow. The Tribute Store is starting preview openings. Tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. team members are going to get early access into the Tribute Store. And then starting at 1 p.m. annual pass holders can get their early preview of the Tribute Store. And then if you're in the park on August 27th, you are able to visit the Tribute Store. It opens for everyone on August 27th or this Friday. Exciting. I can't wait to see what they've done on the interior because these Tribute Stores have just gotten more and more intricate every year, and I can't wait to see what theme they've decided to use. It's been gorgeous the past few years. I look forward to the Tribute Store almost as much as I do the houses at this point because they're just that same level of detail, but you get to just walk in and admire it. You're not walking through quickly. You just get to take it all in, film it, enjoy it, and of course shop for all the merch that's going to be there. So very excited to see the merch, the treats that are going to come out because you know they're going to have all sorts of Horror Nights themed food that's new, and of course the gorgeous interiors. So that's opening tomorrow. I had considered going to it, however Mike has jury duty tomorrow, so he's gonna have our car. Right now we only have one car, so he's gonna have our car at jury duty. There is a chance that if he gets released early, maybe I will go crazy and drive up to Orlando and go check it out, but it's gonna be open as of Friday, so it's really not necessary for me to be there the first day. I just had this wild hair of wanting to go see the sets and go see the Tribute Store, and of course jury duty strikes, so probably won't be there Thursday, but I'll see it soon enough. Well, now let's switch gears and let's talk about Howl-o-Scream Orlando and Howl-o-Scream Tampa, our other two huge events that will be happening in Florida in September and October. So let's start with Howl-o-Scream Orlando. Last week we got an announcement of their final items, which include a house, a zone, and a themed bar. For the house, we have Water's Edge Inn. This inn sure doesn't look like the pictures in the review. From the moment you arrive, you can feel that something is terribly wrong. Every crumbling hallway and decaying room is crawling with restless souls. Maybe those wild stories about this place's sea-crazed owner and his search for the sirens were true all along. Having second thoughts about checking in? Don't worry, the staff will be right with you everywhere you turn. I like it. A seafaring hotel, and I think this is where we're going to see our sirens. The sirens are kind of the icons for this year at Howl-o-Scream Orlando, seems to be. I think it's fitting for its location. I like that they're tying in seafaring themes into the SeaWorld Park event. I'm here for it. I'm ready to see what they do with it. We also have a zone called Deadly Ambush. The year is 1961. You've wandered into a quaint campground nestled in nature. It might sound like a dream, but a new nightmare has just begun here. What's happened to the campers? Creatures are emerging from the darkness. There's nowhere to hide and no park ranger to rescue you. Get back to civilization now before it's too late. I mean, that's an easy zone to do, an easy theme to use. I think it's effective, and I like that they set it in a specific time period. Should lead to some interesting costumes, and I'm very curious to see what these creatures will be. So our final bar is Siren's Last Call. Creatures of the shadows need a place to play too. Could it be this rusted out underground warehouse? Glance around and do your best to blend in. The regulars here are followers of the siren, and they know how to spot an outsider. Be sure to pay homage to her by trying the bar's signature drink, the Siren's Kiss. If I'm being honest, I think I am most excited to see the themed bars at SeaWorld Orlando, just because they're the only haunt that's doing that kind of thing where every house has a matching bar to go with it, and none of the other ones are doing that. So I'm excited to see the theme bars, the themed drinks that go with it. I'm not that much of a drinker myself. I will not be able to handle having a drink at every single one of these bars. I can't drink around SeaWorld. Like, I can't drink around Epcot, I can't drink around SeaWorld. I cannot hang. Be very selective in the drinks I choose, but I definitely want to visit all of them. So that is it for SeaWorld Orlando. With all of their announcements out of the way, what do you guys think about the lineup for their very first event, and will you be attending? Let me know down below. So moving on to Howl-o-Scream Tampa, the more established event, we have a new house and a returning house. So the new house is the Witch of the Woods. Something wicked this way haunts. An ominous legend summons you with her inescapable curse. Curiosity has brought many travelers into this dark forest, but only bone-chilling stories and dying screams make their way out. With each step deeper into the woods, the prospect of survival quickly fades as demonic disciples hunt wandering intruders through their abandoned village. Human sacrifices are chased to the witch's altar, where dark fates are sealed with more than spells. I have to say, this is definitely my most anticipated for Howl-o-Scream Tampa. It's new, it's original. I really like the idea of a witch house. It's very traditional Halloween. Very curious to see, since it sounds like it's set mostly outdoors, how they're going to make that work in the settings that they have available to them. Then we have a returning house, or at least what I assume is a returning house, because the website did not say it was new. I did not attend the event in 2019 or 2020. I think 2020 they didn't do houses, they just had scare zones, and 2019 I didn't go to, but I assume this one appeared in 2019, and it is called The Residence. This suburban home paints a pretty picture on its eerily quiet street, but open the front door and discover the demonic demons that lie beneath. Friendly neighbors have gone mysteriously missing in this seemingly normal suburban community. Enter the pristine home of a picture-perfect family, but beware of unseen horrors. Once you're invited in, you may never make your way out. Don't let yourself become the next sacrifice in their sinister devotion. I don't know about this one. I really don't know what to think about it based on the description. I don't remember anyone talking about it from 2019, so I don't know that it was that much of a favorite, but I will give it a shot. It's new to me. They also released their scare zones, but unlike Howl-o-Scream Orlando, they didn't really do a big backstory for them or anything, so I will go ahead and list them for you. We have 3 new scare zones. There's a voodoo scare zone. The witches that were pushed out of the bayou by the werewolves are out in the streets practicing voodoo. We've got a skeleton crew pirate zone that's new. We've got In the Shadows, eerie legends and myths passed down through the centuries haunt in the woods. I'm here for it. And then we have returning scare zones, the shortcut, cutting through a cemetery, the junkyard, a surly scrap site, little nightmares, paper mache masks, and homemade costumes of yore. That's guaranteed to be creepy. I don't think I've seen that one before. I think that must have come out in 2019. The old school Halloween costumes were terrifying to look at. We have Deadly Toys, the Toys Playground. That's been there for years and years and years. I know exactly where it's gonna be because it's always there. And then of course, the thing that Howl-o-Scream Tampa and most likely Howl-o-Scream Orlando will have that sets them apart, that you'll never see at Halloween Horror Nights anytime soon, will be roaming hordes of sliders and most likely people in ghillie suits hiding in bushes. They are camouflaged so well and it is terrifying. So if you've never been to a Howl-o-Scream event, prepare yourselves because the sliders are fantastic. I will link to a video that I have from a previous Howl-o-Scream where I spent a lot of time just watching the sliders. They're definitely my favorite to sit and watch for a while. The ghillie suit people who hide in the bushes, you never know where they're gonna be. They don't stay in one zone. There's like a group of them and they move them around the park. So you can never feel too safe walking around the pathways of Busch Gardens, and I assume in SeaWorld as well. Probably the thing that gets me the most at that event, because you'll be walking along, talking to your friends, not even thinking. The pathways are very dark, and if you've never been to Busch Gardens Tampa, they have very lush garden pathways. So it is so easy for someone in a ghillie suit to hide in a bush, just sit there, and unless you hear someone around you screaming because they got scared by them, they're gonna get you. So that's always a highlight for me. I expect to see those at both events. So that's it for this week's video. We are so close to opening night for Halloween Horror Nights, and then Howl-o-Scream opens a little later, but Halloween Horror Nights opening night is just around the corner. It is next week. Next week, guys. Somehow we are there. We have made it to haunt season. So I don't know if I'll have a video next Wednesday because we are so close to the event that I think most things have already been announced, but stay tuned. I might be here, I might not. If you aren't already subscribed, make sure to click the button down below to stay in the know and see what I'm up to as the vlogs start oh so soon. Until next time, stay safe, stay spoopy. I'll see you then. Bye.